Your power is not in being the first to speak in the room. It's not in trying to show everybody that you're the smartest in the room. You actually display more power and more competence when you speak last.
Meet Ena Alogwu, a leader who believes success begins with discipline, clarity, and the right fuel for both body and mind. His passion for cooking taught him that eating right isn't just about health. It's the foundation for wellness, focus, and productivity. Ena defines leadership through the 3 levels of value: the implementer, the unifier, and the communicator, all rooted in one truth: win your morning and you'll win your life.
People don't see the importance of being a good communicator, and it's not just in the workspace, your personal relationships as well. Your relationship with your spouse, family, kids, friends. Choice is so profound in terms of where you end up in life if you change your mindset from, like I said earlier, a mindset of determinism to I am in control of my destiny. Kids are the most entitled human beings in the world. They feel you owe them everything and they owe you nothing. And here is the secret that most successful people don't tell other people. The bridge between where you are right now and where you can be is discipline.
Hi guys, Coach EO here. I've had fun so far making the Thrive Not Survive podcast with everyone who's helping with this. We're bringing people to come talk about their stories and share hope so that people learn a thing or two they can apply. But guess what? You are not subscribing. When we check in the background and we see that, a lot of people are watching. Some people remember to like, but not remembering to click the subscribe button. So please subscribe. And when you share this to other people, tell them to subscribe too. This helps us grow the channel so that we can bring in more people. The more subscribers we have, the more guests we can bring to the show. So just subscribe and we'll bring you all the episodes that we have in us. Thank you so much. You are a thriver too. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Thrive Not Survive podcast with Coach EO. I'm Coach EO. As the Thrive Not Survive podcast, is it at or on? Whatever. For those of the viewers who understand English, fill in the gap. On this podcast, we are sharing hope. We want to bring stories of real life people who've been through challenges everybody has and are thriving in whatever their endeavors are. They know that it's not a destination. They're still on the journey of life. And they have some tried and trusted processes that help them go through life. We want to bring them to you, relatable people, not necessarily celebrities, that will share their stories and perhaps you can learn a thing or two to help you on your journey. So with me today, we have Ena Alu.
Hi.
So hi Ena, and thank you for accepting to be on this podcast. So guys, let me tell you a little bit about how I know Ena. We used to work together at InterSwitch. On this podcast we call names of where we worked, so that you know that we're real human beings and you can look us up on LinkedIn. And he's one of the people that I admired there because Ena is very brilliant and he also knows how to communicate. At that time in my life, I was going through a phase of learning how to express my thoughts, let my brain catch up in my mouth sort of thing. And I would just see Ena doing the thing. I'm like, in the beginning, I'm like, this guy likes to hear his own voice, Sha. I'm like, why are you just talking? I explain this thing too much, but it was from a place of beef. Eventually, I decided to cook the beef. I'm negating to suya. And I started trying to learn from you. I learned from everything, And I started seeing that he had a confidence in himself. I won't be surprised today if you tell me, because I saw your brows going, I'm like, If you tell me, man, it wasn't confidence, so I was just hustling. But sometimes that's what the picture looks like. It looks like the person is excelling at something that we need but we don't know what is taking them to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So today, I'm hoping that in addition to giving me some of, the tea behind what looked like success, like you were accomplished in having executive presence, what was that? And other things. So you're very successful. Your profile is actually very decorated. So I'll allow you to introduce yourself. When people meet you, what would you rather they know you as? Like, who is Ena to Ena?
So interesting that you mentioned that there were quite a couple of things you learned from me. And again, this might be the first time you're hearing this. There's actually quite a lot I did learn from you as well. So one of the things people don't realize about me is I am an extreme introvert. I've had to appear to be confident, appear to be somebody who is very comfortable in very public places because of the nature of my job. But I've always been an introvert growing up, and I'm still an introvert now. And so, most people find that I have two personalities. There's the one I wear professionally when I'm in the workspace, and when I'm in my private space, I'm actually a very quiet person. And I like my own time. So one of the things I did really admire about you before I get on to what I would like people to know about me is, obviously everybody can tell you have this way of instantly warming up to people. I never knew how you did it. It takes me a while, and every time I go for any public speaking events, the part that I dread the most is the networking part. So anytime I see people doing it so effortlessly, I'm like, how did they do this? I mean, I've had to find a coping mechanism of doing it, but it still doesn't come to me naturally, as hard as it is to believe. And so you just have this way of, you're a very likable person. You have this way, you're just like a magnet, and in an effortless way, you have a way of just warming into people's hearts, and that's a very, very powerful superpower. I don't know if anybody has ever told you that. So what do I want people to know about me when they meet me? Strangely, I'm actually desperate for people to know who I am beyond the workspace, beyond the professional sphere. And one of the things I tell people that surprises them is that I'm fascinated with food. Every time you come to my house...
You say?
Yes, I'm fascinated with food. I'm a good cook. I spend quite a significant amount of time researching different types of meals that I can make if I can find the ingredients.
Interesting.
There is something therapeutic about cooking for me. And I think just being able to combine raw ingredients to an end product is very, very satisfying for me. And food has actually influenced who I've become in the workspace and has taught me quite a lot in terms of my professional life.
I'm very interested in this thing. So many years ago, somebody told me that Ena cooks. I can't remember. Maybe she gave me somebody. I was like, oh, Ena cooks. I'm like, I was beefing. I don't know why I was beefing, but so here's the thing. I wasn't really beefing you. You just had stuff that I wish I had. And we became friends. Like, I was really grateful that we became friends. Even if we didn't see each other, we were both nerds and ficos, working hard and everything. But when we'll see, we'll just... And then somebody said, Ena cooks. I'm like, Ena cooks. And he has not cooked for me. That kind of thing. Like, cook. What kind of food will Ena be cooking? And that was interesting. I don't think we've ever spoken about it.
I actually cook a lot more now because I'm very worried about... I won't say eating out, just how processed foods are right now. So I like to eat things that are as close to the ground as possible. And so, of course, the older you get, the more concerned you are about healthy living.
Tell me about it.
And essentially, the more I research how harmful some of the modified foods we have now, the more I become, obsessed with preparing my own meals and eating a lot less out and just making sure that I'm in control of what I put in my body. As they always say, you're what you eat.
Yeah.
And there is a very, very close connection between your health and your performance in the workspace. And most people don't realize how impactful that is. But the moment I started to pay very close attention to certain lifestyle changes like exercising and my diet, I found a very huge difference in terms of how I perform. So, for example, my cognitive capabilities improved significantly when I changed my diet, strangely.
Imagine. I want us to go into this, but I turned, if you guys noticed, I turned and I looked at somebody because just 2 nights ago, was it last night? I don't know. This person has been on my, like, yeah. And I know that, like, everybody can do better. But this person, I believe in their performance, but I've noticed it declining recently, forgetting stuff, making mistakes and all that. And if you know me, you know that I'm usually emotionally connected to people who work with me. If I don't have an emotional connection, you can't be in my close circle. TJ was a handful of people. So this person, I just typed to her, like, you know what? This is getting out of hand. You should change something. Like, try to exercise more, pick up a habit, meditate, change your diet and everything. I just thought about something like she doesn't like that. I told her, if I don't tell you, who will I tell? You know what I mean? And I said it's inspired that you're saying it now. Like, it actually makes sense. I've had to deal with a bunch of illnesses most of my life. And as I got older, some of them that were recessive in the past just came to the fore. So bone, musculoskeletal stuff, blood stuff, autoimmune things then come and join and everything. And I found that once I started taking a little bit more control about, like, I lost my hair. I had space. My hair is coming back. My skin has cleared up. Just different conscious things. Trying to sleep well. Sleep is a thing that I need to help myself. But I noticed that there's a change. And when I see my cognitive ability, just brain fog, all the cyber things I'm forgetting, we can see everything, childbearing, or whatever, maturity, menopause, all of that. But I'm like, is there what's within my control that I can do?
Yes.
I can do so, please.
There is a very, very, very close connection between your brain and your gut. So how your brain performs is actually a function of how healthy your gut is. And your mood as well. There is a huge impact that your gut has on your mood. So whether or not you feel excited about coming to work, whether or not you feel like you are fulfilled, oftentimes is a factor of your gut health. And I found something recently, or rather, I heard some neuroscientists say something that made sense. There is a part of your brain, according to this neuroscientist. I'm not a doctor, but what he said makes sense. There is a part of your brain that is unconnected with the other part of your brain that is able to synthesize words, colors, and stuff like that. And what it means is the information that is stored in that part of your brain cannot be interpreted by the part of your brain that can synthesize things into what you can understand, but it's connected to your gut. So you've heard about gut feel, right?
Yes.
So according to what he said, things that happened to you in the past are somehow archived in that part of the brain. And so when you see something, or when you find yourself in a situation, you can't exactly tell what's wrong, but you feel this thing in your stomach. What's happening is that part of your brain is unable to connect to the other part of your brain that synthesizes information, but it is connected to your gut. And so because your gut can't synthesize anything, you actually get this tightening feeling, or you get this tingling feeling. It is that situation reminds you of something that has happened in the past. And so this is just one of many examples where your ability to function in terms of how your brain functions, your mood, and several other things about your body is actually very well connected to your gut. And the more you realize that and you start paying attention to your gut health, ensuring that you eat the right type of foods to reduce the bad bacteria in your gut and increase the good bacteria in your gut, you start to notice significant changes in terms of how motivated you are when you wake up in the morning, and even your mood throughout the day has a very strong connection with what you eat. So it's extremely important as professionals who are looking to become high performers, not only worry about insights that can make you a high performer, but also worry about what you put in your stomach, because there is a very huge impact, and there's a massive difference between anybody who, pays very close attention to what they put in your body. And when you interact with people like that, there's a very huge difference in terms of the vibes you get, how switched on they are. It's a massive difference. And the moment I discovered that, and it's one of those things I learned quite late in my career. If I had known this much earlier, perhaps I would have been a much different person. Yeah, but then, like I said, if you want to be a very good performer, one of the things you should pay very close attention is wellness. Yeah, generally. Exercise.
I'm happy that you call it wellness, because let's not just say it's only about what you eat, what you do, how you rest, how you focus on your mental health. Your gut also contributes to your mental health, which is connection that you said. So, do you want to share some of the things that you like? What did you change? How do I take care of good bacteria? But what did you do? You're not a doctor, but just
So, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I was trying to go for an early morning jog within my estate, and it was sometime around 5 a.m. And so I tripped and I fell and I fractured I had a hairline fracture on my wrist. So I didn't think I just thought it was a small sprain. But the pain and stuff just made me know that there was something wrong. So I went to the hospital, did an x-ray, and they found I had a hairline fracture and I had to wear a cast for about 5 weeks. When I went to take off the cast, as you would normally do in the hospital, they'll ask you to go for your vitals.
Yeah.
And so I went for my vitals. I was on my phone checking emails, and the nurse who was taking my vitals said, "Are you hypertensive?" And I said, "No. There must be something wrong with the reading. Yeah. Take it again." And she took it 3 times, and my blood pressure was really high. And I almost went from taking off my cast to being admitted in hospital. And so they were about to prescribe drugs for me, and I called one of my mentors that I respect for something unrelated, and I mentioned to him that looks like I'm stressed out, got high blood pressure, I need to go on meds. And he said, don't do it. And he said, I'll give you some natural remedies that will bring down your blood pressure in 1 week. And so when he sent them to me, I needed to do some validation. So I went online and started researching the health benefits of some of the things he recommended to me. And I just became obsessed with, and again, during the course of my research, I stumbled on some guy who calls himself a human biologist called Gary Brecker. And he's dedicated his life to teaching people about natural ways of healing your body and reducing dependence on chemicals and medication, as the case may be. And that just opened up a rabbit hole, if you like. And I just started researching quite a lot, and there were a number of things that I started to change. And the first thing is I cut out sugar, white sugar, from my diet completely. The second thing I did was the type of oils that I use to cook my food. I changed that as well. It's a little more expensive to get the healthier oils, the ones with a higher heat resistance, but those things actually, changed my life completely. The other thing I did was I started eating a lot of healthy fats. Fats have been vilified, so have eggs. But eggs are a superfood, and there's been a lot of misconception from previous, people who have written bad things about eggs. And so I've increased the amount of eggs I have in my diet. I've increased the amount of fiber I have in my diet, and you can find fiber in different places. People think fiber is just vegetables. And things that are not very nice to eat. But that's not entirely true. And if you do some more research, you would find that there are a lot of enjoyable foods that have very good fiber content. And just by doing that, what you're actually doing is you're flipping the population of your good bacteria versus your bad bacteria. So your bad bacteria feeds on sugars, your good bacteria feeds on fibers. The more fibers you eat, the more good bacteria you have. The funny thing that I also learned in terms of the gut's connection with the brain is that because the bad bacteria feeds on sugar, when they get hungry, they have learned how to communicate with your brain from the good bacteria. And so when you have sugar cravings, That is the bad bacteria telling your brain, I'm hungry. Tell this guy to eat some sugar. The problem is the bad bacteria is what makes your gut health deteriorate and then affects your mood, affects your cognitive capabilities, and so on and so forth. So you can just clearly see that just by changing your diet and reducing certain things that are unhealthy and increasing certain things that are healthy, you can actually significantly improve your performance in the workspace. So I no longer wake up feeling like I don't want to go to work. I rarely have mood swings during the day. And the other thing I also found was the power of fasting. So the benefits of fasting is so immense that it is almost criminal that it is not public knowledge. So I started off with intermittent fasts. I started off with, fasting for 12 hours. Then I went to 16 hours. Then I started doing 18 hours consistently. And then I heard about the benefits of a prolonged fast. So beyond 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was something I could ever do. But I haven't done 24 hours a couple of times. I now do 72-hour fast every quarter. And I cannot tell you how different I feel every time I complete a 72-hour fast. And I've actually recruited a lot of people to join me as well. Hopefully I'll recruit you to join us one of these days.
Yeah. So we do maybe as a group, but I do it already.
It's a
I don't
thing.
I don't always make it to 72 hours because of differences.
Yes, yeah.
But I'll do like a 2-day fast.
Once you cross 48 hours,
it gets easier.
And what your body actually does, especially from the 24-hour mark, is remarkable. The body is an incredible machine and can repair itself in ways that you can't even imagine. You just need to put yourself in the right state and the right condition for the body to do its job. So, for example, if you don't ingest anything for 24 hours and the cells are not busy trying to get sugar in and convert that sugar into cholesterol and all the things that the cell normally does to produce energy, the cell then turns on itself and starts to repair itself. And so you have cells that are damaged that can then repair themselves. And if those cells don't repair themselves and they stay in your body for a prolonged period of time, 10, 20, 15 years, those cells are the ones that actually become cancerous. So by fasting, you can prevent things like cancer. Not all the time, but there are certain types of cancers that you can prevent by doing a prolonged fast. You can prevent things like dementia, funny enough, hair loss. Certain things that people experience today, you could actually reverse with a prolonged fast, including insulin resistance, which is one of the major causes of most very dangerous diseases that you have today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I'm smiling because it's making me... Some of the things you're saying, I've experienced them. Like, it's a thing, as I learn, I try, and all of that. And even when I feel, man, I can't fast this fast. Well, you know that thing of when you're fasting for, maybe I'm fasting to pray or something. And all I can think of is food. Like, man, I'm hungry. Mm-hmm. When it gets to the point where I'm just like, it's for health. I want to... Let me not eat anything. I'm just drinking water or something. Or my tea, green tea. So just let me feel like the first day will pass and I'm like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Then the next day I'm like, okay, how far we go?
Day 2 is the hardest for me.
Yeah.
So day 2 is where I really struggle. But once I get past day 2, sometimes when I'm even completing day 3, I'm tempted to continue. So I did add a 12-hour additional this thing to my 72 hours, but I was losing too much weight, so I had to stop. But during the 72-hour fast, it was like my brain went into overdrive. My cognitive capabilities peaked, obviously because of all of the things that happen in your body beyond 48 hours. Your body triggers the release of stem cells, triggers the release of growth hormones, which actually help your brain to become a lot more sharper as well. And so, again, exercising was something I used to do quite a bit prior to me paying more attention to my nutrition. But when you combine in nutrition and exercise, you become something completely different. If I told you that the way I feel recently The last time I felt like this was in my 20s. And it's amazing how easy it is to feel good about yourself and improve your performance just by making some minor tweaks to your lifestyle,
To your life?
healthy living, essentially.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing this. So I just know that, okay, so I need to be more consistent. That's what I'll say. Because once in a while, you know how they think, okay, let me do it. I remember when I did it last time, it was really great. But the intermittent fasting thing, that's like a staple.
Very
It's
powerful.
regular. But the full day fast, that one, I just know that the next morning when I wake up, I'm like, okay, where's everybody? Let's do this. Let's kill a few things. In terms of outcomes, so not okay. So thank you, Ena. Now tell me, what is a trusted? I know you've been through stuff. Yeah.
Been through a lot.
If you want to share, like whichever one you want to tell us.
Yep.
I would say go for the hardest one that comes to your mind. But you're sitting here today, so you've come out of it, yeah.
Yep.
And you're actually doing really well. Like, I admire you. I look at your profile and I'm like, we're sitting at a mutual friend's book launch, and I think they were calling you up to do something, and they were reading your previous program. I'm like, this person is not updated. Yeah. And then you actually went up there sitting with my husband, and he was like, okay, so let me correct it. Right now I am at XYZ, and I was like, that's Ena. I was just tapping him like, yeah, you will correct them. Like, please say the correct thing. Let's not be lying on stage. Anyway, so tell me.
Yeah. So I have a couple of things I'd written down here, and there were a number of things that I wished I had learned in the earlier part of my career that unfortunately life had to teach me, and that every chance I get, I try and tell people so they can avoid certain mistakes that people typically make during their rise through the career ladder. So my journey to occupying a position or a C-level position now with a telco. So I'm the Chief Digital and Innovation Officer at 9Mobile. T2 Mobile now, used to be 9Mobile. But sometimes I ask myself the question, could I have gotten to this level 5 years earlier? In hindsight, when I look back at my career, the answer is yes. But if I had the opportunity of interacting with people who had made the same type of mistakes I had made, learned lessons from those mistakes, and perhaps had advised me, I perhaps would have avoided a lot of things. So mistake number one, and this is something I find that is very common with people who are smart, is that people tell you you're smart all the time. Within the workspace, your clients tell you you're really smart, you're really sharp. And while that gives you some dopamine, it's actually a very dangerous thing, because it makes you delusional as to where you really are in life. It gives you this, false impression about how good you are. And what that does is that it kind of makes you feel like you don't really need to research and learn about things that will help you progress in your career. And you feel that just by being smart is enough to take you to the next level. But there are so many other things that are required for you to get from one level to the other. And as every entrepreneur would know, what got you to where you are 2 years ago is not going to get you to the next level. And the same thing applies to humans as well. So the earlier you realize that for me to make it from one level to the other, there are certain things that I must do differently. There is obviously this saying that you cannot get a different result by doing things the same way. And so sometimes you are smart, you get promoted a couple of times, you get to a certain level, and you feel like just being smart is enough to get you to the next level. And then it doesn't happen, and you start to get frustrated.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen all the time. And one of the things I learned much later in my career, is that when you start your career journey, your intelligence, which is your IQ, is an important factor to get you to the next level. But the moment you start getting to middle management level, frontline management level, the importance of your IQ diminishes and the importance of your EQ then kicks in. And so if you don't spend time building your emotional intelligence, you are not going to get anywhere.
Yes.
And you find yourself in a situation where you hear people say, this man is not as good as I am. I'm better at my functional capabilities than he is. Why is he getting promoted? Why is he my manager? I do all the work. All he does is tell me what to do. He just tells me. So why is it here? Why is he here? If you speak like that, you're ignorant.
Yes.
And there is something he has that you don't have. And when you lift the hood, what you actually find is that people that find themselves in that situation, what is really happening is that there is a mismatch in terms of their perception of the value they're adding to the organization and the perception of your value that you're adding from the organization's perspective. You need to understand how organizations perceive value. And I learned this when I watched a podcast by somebody I respect very much. Her name is Dr. Grace Lee. And what she said was that there are 3 levels of value. And most organizations know this. At each level, there is a type of value that is considered to be what you're supposed to do at that level. When you are supposed to be considered for a role that moves you to the next level, what the organization looks for is that are there signs that this person is displaying regarding the next level of value? And I explain the three types of value in a second. You will not be in contention at all if you've not displayed any traits of the next level of value. And so you'll not even be in the conversation in terms of people that are being considered, options that are being considered. But once you understand the 3 levels of value, you would find that you are now more in control of your career progression. So the 3 levels of value is, the lowest level is the implementer. So usually when you finish from school, finish your NYSC, get into an organization, you're usually given a role that requires you to get your hands dirty, and you're the one responsible for executing. So the implementer level is typically from entry level up until frontline manager. And so at that level, your functional capabilities, your functional skills, how much you're able to do within a particular period of time is the value that you're adding. And then your intelligence, which is your IQ, is your competitive advantage at that particular stage. But when you start getting towards the frontline management role, the value that the organization expects you to deliver becomes very different. The next level of value is called the unifier. And as the name implies, your job is to bring teams together and get them to achieve a collective goal. Usually following certain processes that you're also a custodian of ensuring compliance to. So the unifier is the next level of value and is the type of value that your organization expects you to contribute the moment they make you a frontline manager. And so when you become a frontline manager and you still see yourself as an implementer, somebody who needs to show that I'm an expert in executing these things, you start to notice that the organization doesn't really consider you for any promotions into middle management. And then you become frustrated and you're like, well, I'm so good at this. I've taught my people how to do this. I joined them in implementing myself. Why is the organization not thinking that I am, the best person to be considered for middle manager role? The problem is that you have moved from the level of an implementer to a level where the expectation is that you become a unifier, and because you still try to remain a good implementer, an excellent implementer, you find that you've hit some sort of stagnation. And again, you and I were speaking off camera, and I mentioned to you that once you understand the 3 levels of value, you can then align any personal development activities that you need to engage in to give you the skills to perform efficiently in that level. And what you find is that when people start getting to frontline manager role, they rush and go and do an MBA. When they finish the MBA, they come back waiting for something big to happen, and oftentimes it doesn't. And you're wondering what's going on. Well, I was very good functionally. I've just gotten an MBA. Why am I not getting something big? The truth of the matter is, what you need as a unifier most times you may not be taught that in an MBA.
Yes.
And so what do good unifiers do? They are able to galvanize their teams, keep them motivated, ensure that they have all of the right tools to perform their functions efficiently as implementers so that they can achieve the collective goal that has been defined by people in the next level of value, which I'll explain in a second. And so as a unifier, what you must be is a good manager. And sometimes the type of personal development you need might not be an MBA to become a good manager. But essentially, people that are fantastic unifiers are people that have very good emotional intelligence, because you must be able to connect with your team on an emotional level and adjust your enforcement of the policy depending on what you think is right, what your gut feel is, and just ensuring that your team believes in you and your team actually sees you as somebody who is genuinely interested in their growth. When you are like that to your team, they'll do anything for you. They'll work longer hours, they'll go above and beyond. And that ultimately is very good for the outcomes that your team is able to achieve. And your ability to galvanize your team and keep them motivated and ensure adherence to whatever processes exists within the organization and achieving the outcomes that have been set by people who are your principals is what makes you a fantastic unifier or a fantastic frontline manager or middle manager. Now, what you find is that most people actually get to retirement at that level, and that's because they don't really understand the skills required to take you to the next level. Brings me to the next level of value, which is the communicator. As trivial as that sounds, being a good communicator is actually one of the most important skills you can ever get if you're ever going to be considered for a VP level or a C level. If you're not a good communicator, you are not going to last in any of those positions. And so what is the job of a communicator? The communicator is supposed to synthesize what the corporate goals are and communicate it in a way that the unifiers and implementers would understand. So you're supposed to understand the company's strategy, understand what the company wants to achieve as an outcome, usually a business outcome from that strategy, and ensure that you communicate those goals very clearly. Of course, there are certain things that you must do as a communicator while you are a unifier that you must also have as a skill there, because you're going to be in charge of people. And that's where the difference between leadership and management comes into play. Many people think they're the same, but they are very different. And so being a very good communicator is more about you being able to sell a vision at any particular point in time. And you may be selling that vision to internal stakeholders or, external customers as well, or partners, or whatever the case may be. And the ultimate goal is to get them to believe in that vision so that they join you in that journey to achieving that vision. And you hear me use the word vision. And vision is essentially your imagination of what the future state would be. And you're trying to get from the current state to the future state, right? And so one of the things that you must be able to do, and the traits that you must start to display when you are in middle management, frontline management, or middle management, is being a good communicator. Once you start to display those skills, when it is time to fill a C-level role or a VP role or a senior role, you would automatically become a contender. And so when you hear the CEO, for example, asking for the opinion of somebody who is junior and you are a manager sitting in the same room, what that tells you is that the CEO is seeing traits of a communicator in that person. And it is very likely that that person will come and surpass you and become somebody very senior. And so the moment you understand the different types of value in terms of how the organization perceives that value, your compensation is tied to the organization's perception of your value. So you get paid more when you start to display the skills that align with somebody who's performing at that level. And so learning how to become a good communicator, like I said, as trivial as it sounds, is not a very easy thing to do. And so you need to learn things like how do you communicate verbally and non-verbally. As they say, most of what you communicate is non-verbal. And people at C-level know this. So when they're speaking to you and they're quiet, they're not only listening to what you're saying, they're looking at your body language.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. And they are what you're saying without actually saying anything. And they are interpreting those things and they are making decisions. Now, when I became a product manager, there were certain things that I discovered that really helped me in my career. And when you're managing a product, obviously you have to ensure that your product has a good brand. And so you work with the marketing team to get them to implement initiatives that will improve the product's brand equity. And that's because each time a customer is making a decision to purchase a product to solve a problem that they have, you're not the only one who is going to be considered. And so if you go to a ShopRite, for example, a Blanco, and you're looking to buy a detergent, you see detergents from different manufacturers. And sometimes the brand equity of a particular brand could influence your decision to purchase that brand. And it's the same thing with you being considered for a particular position. Whether you're interviewing for a role in a new company or whether the company has identified potential candidates to fill a particular role, your personal brand becomes very, very, very important. And many people don't realize this, so they don't pay any attention to building their personal brand. But whether you like it or not, the same thing that applies to you as a consumer when you're trying to make a decision as to which brand to buy on the shelf of detergents, it's the same thing that plays on the mind of an executive who's trying to make a decision. And your brand, which is typically what do I think about Elizabeth when I hear Elizabeth's name, it doesn't matter whether or not that tallies with who Elizabeth really is. At that particular point in time, the brand is what influences the decision. One other very critical thing that I also learned is that usually people think that decisions are made in formal settings in the boardroom. The truth of the matter is the decision has already been made before those formal congregations happen. And the strange thing is the information that is used to make those decisions by the executives is gotten from very informal conversations with your colleagues, conversations with people you've worked in, and it's corridor conversations. What do you think about Elizabeth? What do you think about Lara? And what that person says about you is also going to be influenced by your brand. Of course, by the value you've added, but also by your brand as well. And the information provided about you, whether or not that information is true, is what is used to form those decisions that have already been made before they even get into the boardroom. And so one of the things that you must do is to ensure that, one, you work on your personal brand, just like a product. See yourself as a product. Everything you do to make a product successful, apply to yourself and watch the magic happen. And so when you pay attention to your personal brand and ensure that your brand is very consistent, both with your colleagues, your peers, people that report to you, your superiors, you'd find that makes a huge difference in terms of when decisions are being made as to whether or not you'll be the one to occupy a certain position. And so when I started to understand these kind of things and I started to deliberately work on them, my life started to change completely. I would tell you that in my career, when we started this conversation in the beginning, when you said I've gone through a lot, what happened was when I started my career, I accelerated onto a certain level and then I experienced stagnation, just like most people do. And I spent that period wondering why. And I blamed every other person but myself for the situation I was in. But the moment I started to realize that I'm more in control of my destiny than any other external factor, and I started to take deliberate steps, haven't understood with the research I've done how the world works, I started to now see some changes. And again, I went into the acceleration phase, and thankfully I'm where I am today. Hopefully what it will take for me to get to the next level will no longer be a problem with what I know now. But that's the story of my life. But the time when I really experienced stagnation was, I don't want to use the word dark, but it was a difficult period in my life where I spent a significant amount of time focusing on the wrong things, which is blaming other people for my predicament. And so it took a little bit of, again, some events triggered me to do some, inflection about myself, some soul searching, and I started to find the answers. But for anybody who is experiencing any form of stagnation, what I can tell you is, look in the mirror. The problem is you and nobody else. You're not going to make any progress by blaming anybody else, because you are where you are because of you and nobody else. Make no mistake about it. And once you do that, once you have that mindset shift, where you're moving from a mindset of determinism, where you're saying my destiny has always been preordained, to I am in control of my destiny, I can guarantee you that your life will be completely different and never be the same.
I don't even know what to say. Like, I can't wait to watch this. Plenty emotions. Okay.
Yep.
So I've been where you were talking. Mine happened really early.
Yep.
It's a very dangerous thing when you are always regarded as a star in a
double-edged sword. It gives you that short-term dopamine, but the long-term effects can actually be very limiting and dangerous.
Very. Because you're not even developing. You just feel it's a birthright and not a process. Yes. So you just feel like, hey, and just put me here, I'll do it. I have experience in being this star.
Yeah.
And then you're not preparing yourself for when that level changes. Because you're in this level as a star and people expect that, yes, now you can do it.
Yep.
And then they put you there.
And you start hearing things like, oh, he wasn't ready, she wasn't ready. Yes. I think we made a mistake. Yes. Perhaps we should have developed the person a lot more. Yes. I'm like, you are here listening to that and I'm like, I don't understand. That feedback doesn't make sense. I'm a superstar. You were calling me the sharpest guy in the room. Why are you now saying that I wasn't ready for this role?
Yes. And when you're in that frontline middle management position and you're saying, but it's me, I did this, I did that. Hello, we didn't put you there to be individual contributor. We put you there to unify individual contributors. Come on, why are you the one doing the work?
Why are you the one doing the work? And you know the strange thing? The moment you are in a unifier role and you are still an implementer, you get pushed down into the implementer's phase and then you neglect your role as a unifier. That's where the problem is. So once you are a frontline or middle manager where you're supposed to be a unifier and you are an implementer, there's a gap that the organization sees very, very clearly. You probably don't see it, but the organization sees it and says, I put this guy or this lady there to galvanize the team, to motivate the team, to get them to achieve the collective goal. Yeah. But this person isn't doing that. This person is joining them in the implementation. And there's, I can't remember the name of the professor that spoke about it as stepping away from the dance floor. So when you get into the dance floor and you're dancing with every other person, you're unable to take a step back and see how the team is dancing and make changes to the choreography, whatever it is. Yeah, because you are busy dancing with them on the dance floor and you guys don't even know whether what you're dancing is rubbish.
Exactly. Yeah. So this thing, it was a rude shock because I'll be like, at this point, see this person, my level, this is way before I got into Switch and all. See this person in my level now. They started using me as the intelligent, you're a superstar, do it for us, then we'll give this person to go and help us present it. And it will hurt. Nothing that will hurt. Like, why? I know this thing better than her. I'm the one who did it. Why are you giving somebody my work to go and posture? And I asked it, and this thing was a major turning point in my life because it rocked me to my soul. Imagine being like the star kid from when you were small. I agree, The things that you need to keep being a star kid at that point is you just need your intelligence at that point. I can learn faster. I understand. I grasp information and I can break down things into complex things into workable bits. Make it simple. Explain it in layman's terms.
That's communicator traits right there.
Yes.
Once you're able to do that to other people, that's a very important skill as a communicator. You're able to break down very complex things in a simple way that everybody can understand. But so in the way that the information is not distorted.
It's not distorted. That's very important. But I was doing it for myself. Like I just see it and understand. Everything falls into place. And I'm like, let's go do. And I go and do. But explain to somebody else now. I'm talking fast. People are lost. But like, what is? Okay, nice. We believe you. Go and do it. So you're doing. But you have people and your team members don't know what to do. And then it became one lady. She changed my life. She just told me, yeah, it's your communication. But I can't, it's not about being articulate. Yeah. But what do you mean? There's everything. Do we believe you?
And it's so people don't see the importance of being a good communicator. And it's not just in the workspace, your personal relationships as well. Your relationship with your spouse, family, kids, friends. And kids are a very good example. Kids are the most entitled human beings in the world. They feel you owe them everything and they owe you nothing.
Yes.
Once you have a relationship with somebody that has that kind of mindset, they are very, very difficult to, let me not use the word control, but get them to comply. And so your ability to be able to raise your kids to become good people is heavily dependent on your communication skills as well. Very important.
And it's not just words or behavior, because they will hear what you did faster than what you said.
Correct. Because you're trying to impact good values. If you can't communicate those values in a way that they can understand as young as they are, you're not going to succeed. So even if you're somebody who is stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home mom, you still need to be a good communicator. So communication is not just important in the workspace, but in every single aspect of your life. Because come to think of it, you're always selling something to somebody.
You're
always. Whether you're speaking to your cook, your driver, your friends, you're selling something. You're trying to get them to, understand what your beliefs and stuff like that. And that's really what communication is all about.
This is amazing. So even at the stage I met you, that I thought you were a superstar in communication, you were like,
I was just learning.
You had to, and it's amazing.
Because let me just add that one of the things that I didn't have back then, which is also a communication skill, is how to listen. So you mentioned something about I like hearing my voice. I used to like hearing my voice. One of the things I also learned much later is that your power is not in being the first to speak in the room. It's not in trying to show everybody that you're the smartest in the room. You actually display more power and more competence when you speak last, because the advantage it does for you is that you've listened to every other person speak. You've gotten the points of views and perspectives of different people, and you've used that information to make what you're going to say a lot more stronger and carry a lot more weight. So when you hear people keeping quiet, and when every other person speaks and they speak and what they said carries a lot of weight and the entire room is nodding and is silent, that is a skill that they've learned that you haven't learned.
Yes.
It's very, very difficult, especially if your brain is hyper. You can't wait to say something. To hold yourself back and listen to every other person speak is an extremely difficult thing to do, as easy as it sounds.
It is.
But the moment you learn how to do it, you actually make a bigger impression on people when you eventually do speak. And when people actually know you to be somebody that says things that carries weight, every other person is anticipating and waiting for you to speak.
That's it. They're waiting for you. Like, okay, what will this? And in some cases where you're quiet, they're like, okay, what do you have to say about? Then you say, and everybody's quiet, like, okay, let's go do that. It's an interesting thing. So I like you already. Like, I like you a lot. That's why you're sitting there. But I liked you a little bit more when you said that thing. Like, just acknowledging the thing I said about Ena likes to hear his voice. Like, yeah, I liked it. I'm like, eh? So humility is a skill. You just displayed like a huge dose of humility. I respect it. Thank you. So, before we can talk about 1 million things. And hopefully we can get you in this chair again, because there's a lot over.
I'd love to be back.
Thank you. I was about to say everybody up in baking so they will come back. We will do this again. But I want you to think about what's the best thing. I'll ask you two things. One, to do. Do you have a word to leave with anyone who's looking to grow to the next level? Or do you want to talk to Ena of 20 years ago and tell Ena something you think he should know? I don't know. A message from which one?
In fact, it's one answer for both.
Nice.
So what I'm going to leave people with is actually something I would have said to Ena 20 years ago. And it's two things, actually. The first is, one of the most powerful gifts that God has given to human beings is choice. And choice is so profound in terms of where you end up in life. If you change your mindset from, like I said earlier, a mindset of determinism to I am in control of my destiny. What I'll say to Ena 20 years ago and live with everybody else as I live here is that you are where you are because of your choices. Not because of anything else, because of your choices. You may blame the organization, you may blame a bad boss, but you are there because you chose to be. So you chose to be where you are. And the moment you understand and accept that, your life will change. And so when you then say, okay, I agree that I am where I am because of the choices I've made, how do I make better choices going forward? One of the things I would say, if you want to achieve something great or make an impact in life, is you need to be very clear as to where you want to be. So one of the most dangerous things you can ever do in building a career or even running a business or anything is to wait for something to fall down from heaven for you. And so if you leave those choices to life will choose your path for you. And so if you had the option of choosing your path or having life choose your path for you, which would you choose?
You're still choosing.
Now, if you then have a vision of where you want to be, the question always is, how do you get there?
Yeah.
And here is the secret that most successful people don't tell other people. The bridge between where you are right now and where you can be is discipline.
Yes.
And it is what you do every day. It is not something that just happened to you in month 1, year 2. It is what you do every single day. And here is my life hack. What you do in the morning would determine where you're going to be in life. I can't remember if it was Simon Sinek or one of these famous podcasters that says, win your morning, win your day. Win your day, win your week. Win your week, win your month. Win your month, win your year. Win your year, win your life. So when you wake up in the morning, your routine in the morning, that's a whole new conversation altogether. There's a lot of literature on the internet. Yes. But what you do in the morning would determine what your day would be like. And if your day is ruined, your week is ruined. So if you control your morning and make sure that you have systems rather than just impulse. So there is a reason why companies have processes and systems. Processes and systems help organizations to function effectively. What they don't tell you is that it makes you as an individual function more effectively. Build a system, especially around your mornings and your evenings, and watch your life change completely.
On so many levels, it's that word discipline, diligence.
Yes.
You're practicing today.
Correct.
What you're going to be.
Correct. And here's the misconception. People think that discipline because there are a lot of definitions around discipline, and people tend to associate discipline to being caged or restricted. Discipline is actually freedom. Because what discipline does is that once you've defined a routine for yourself, you are now more in control of what you do rather than any external stimulus controlling what you do. Because if something external controls what you do, you are in bondage. You are not free.
Of the thing.
Correct.
It feels like freedom, but you're actually
It feels like
trapped.
freedom, but it's not. You're trapped. You're trapped because you're controlled by something external to you.
You're not the one controlling your actions.
But discipline is when you are in control of your actions and how you respond.
Yeah.
And not using the word react.
Yeah.
Because reaction is an external stimulus controlling how you respond to something, to an external stimuli. So being in control and making sure you have systems and processes that predict how you're going to start your morning actually then makes you free, because your life is no longer controlled by something that is external to you. Make sense?
Does it make sense? Like, yes. Yes. So it's consistency.
Consistency.
And
it's those small wins that accumulate to become success. Whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Steve Jobs, think of that is what they do. And they understand that is what I do every day that culminates and accumulates to become something big.
I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. This, I don't know, maybe I say this all the time, like, this was the best one. This has been the best. I'm really happy.
And again, anytime you want me to come back,
you
always happy to.
Yeah, no problem. So, guys, this has been the Thrive Not Survive podcast with Coach EO and Ena Alu. Like, amazing. I don't even have the words for that. My vocabulary is whatever. Thank you so much.
We'll see you
the next time, and you share all the things. So
thank you, and hopefully, my 1 cent would change somebody's life.
Yeah. This is like $1 million. So let's hug.
Thank you.